ചെയ്യണ്ടേ? വീട്ടിൽ കയറാൻ തെളിഞ്ഞ് ചെയ്ത് കുളമാക്കല്ലേ? അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യണം കേട്ടോ. സൈലന്റ് മോഡിലാണ് കേട്ടോ പറഞ്ഞത്. ആരെങ്കിലും അവനെ ഫോണും കൂടെ കൊണ്ടുപോവാ. കുറച്ച് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ തുടങ്ങി കഴിയുമ്പോൾ എടുത്തോണേ. ബാക്കിൽ പോകാൻ എന്താ എൻ്റെ വാട്സാപ്പിൽ പോകാൻ പോലെ. Sir, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Sir, I have sent it to you personally, sir. Personally, അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ. വാട്സപ്പിൽ ഞാൻ സാറിന് കൺഗ്രാജുലേഷൻസ് ഇട്ടതിൻ്റെ തൊട്ട് മുകളിലുണ്ട് ലിങ്ക്. ഓക്കെ സർ, ഓക്കെ സർ. കട്ടായല്ല.
Today, when the world is celebrating the Environment Day in the midst of such enormous disruption and tragedy, with millions losing their livelihood and another million facing a health pandemic, we need to think about what do we do in the future. And this is where the NCC Army Unit of DEVAGIRI College is conducting this webinar. Respected dignitaries and fellow cadets, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. Myself, Under Officer Meghna Haridas, I'll be moderating the session today. I extend the greetings on the occasion of the World Environment Day. As you all know, since 1974, June 5th is observed as the World Environment Day. The theme of WD this year is Reimagine, Recreate and Restore. Now let's jump into the session. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put them down in the chat box. I will bring them up during the session if necessary, or we will be having an interactive session towards the end. To keep the quality of sound functional during the meeting, I request all of you to mute yourself when you are not speaking. An e-certificate will be provided to all the participants. A link will be provided in the chat box. You may access the link, fill out your details. You will receive the certificate in your email ID. If any difficulty occurs, contact the number given in the chat box. This is a national level webinar, so the certificate could be really helpful for the cadets. Now let's begin the program with NCC song. I invite Under Officer Krishna and Jayesh for NCC song.
हम सब भारतीय हैं, हम सब भारतीय हैं, हम सब भारतीय हैं, हम सब भारतीय हैं। अपनी मंजिल एक है, हा 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 एक है, हो एक है। हम सब भारतीय हैं, हम सब भारतीय हैं। कश्मीर की धरती रानी है, सरताज हिमालय है। सदियों से हमने इसको अपने खून से पाला है। कश्मीर की धरती रानी है, सरताज हिमालय है। सदियों से हमने इसको अपने खून से पाला है। देश की रक्षा की खातिर हम शमशीर उठा लेंगे, हम शमशीर उठा लेंगे। बिखरे बिखरे तारे हैं हम, लेकिन झिलमिल एक है, हा 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 एक है, हो एक है। हम सब भारतीय हैं, हम सब भारतीय हैं। मंदिर गुरुद्वारे भी है यहाँ और मस्जिद भी है यहाँ। गिरिजा का है खड़ियाल कहीं, मुल्ला की कहीं ऐसा। मंदिर गुरुद्वारे भी है यहाँ और मस्जिद भी है यहाँ। गिरिजा का है खड़ियाल कहीं, मुल्ला की कहीं ऐसा। एक ही अपना राम है, एक ही अल्लाह ताला है, एक ही अल्लाह ताला है। रंग बिरंगे दीपक है हम, लेकिन दिल मिल एक है, हा 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 एक है, हो एक है। हम सब भारतीय हैं, हम सब भारतीय हैं, हम सब भारतीय हैं, हम सब भारतीय हैं।
Thank you, Krishna. Now I invite the backbone of NCC Army Unit, the respected Associate NCC Officer, Captain Binoy Varakil, for welcome speech.
Good morning to all of you. To harm the earth is to heap contempt on its creator. Contaminate your bed and you will one night suffocate in your own ways, said Chief SYED, the leader of Native American Suquamish tribe. Chief SYED spoke these words on 11th March 1854. That is 167 years ago. Yes, we are really suffocating in our own ways today. Even before COVID-19, the pandemic, oxygen or life breath was a big issue in the metros of India. The air quality in most of the cities of India has been very unhealthy and hazardous for many years. Something must be done. Each of us have to contribute positively to reimagining, recreating, and restoring ecosystem. It is with that sincere desire that the NCC Group KOZHIKODE 30 Kerala Battalion to COY ST.JOSEPH'S College DEVAGIRI organized this national webinar on this Environment Day 2021. Honorable Group Commander Brigadier A.V. Rajan has always been an icon of enthusiasm, inspiration, motivation, and guidance. Dear sir, I welcome you to this webinar. Today's webinar is really meaningful with the presence of two eminent resource persons. Mr. SYED FAISAL RIZVI has contributed by way of resources, time, and efforts to various action groups, charities, and trusts. Sir is just recovering from COVID-19 and is on oxygen. We are lucky to have Mr. SYED FAISAL RIZVI in this webinar. I welcome Mr. SYED FAISAL RIZVI to this webinar. Welcome, sir. Mr. Ajit Kumar, the founder of Kushigram and Vision 2030, is blessing us with a keynote speech on World Environment Day. Ajit Kumar sir leads the social and green initiatives platform and works on advocacy and action with national and international institutions, as well as groups and people across far-flung villages. Today, sir is with us, and I sincerely extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Ajit Kumar. Welcome, dear sir. Dr. SABU K. Thomas, the principal of ST.JOSEPH'S College DEVAGIRI, and Colonel PRAVEEN Kumar Singh, the commanding officer of 30 Kerala Battalion NCC KOZHIKODE, are always very dedicated and committed towards the overall development of each and every cadet and student. It's their support, guidance, and encouragement that helped us organize this national webinar today. I extend a very sincere welcome to Dr. SABU K. Thomas and Colonel PRAVEEN Kumar Singh. Welcome, dear sirs. I remember the officers of KOZHIKODE NCC group, the professors, the management of ST.JOSEPH'S College DEVAGIRI, dear officers, professors, associate NCC officers, permanent instructing staff, cadets, and dear students. Welcome to this webinar. Once again, I welcome one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now, I invite the driving force of our
Institution, respected principal of St.JOSEPH'S College DEVAGIRI, Dr. SABU K. Thomas, for the inaugural speech. Sir, could you please unmute yourself?
Sorry. My warm environmental greetings to all the participants of the program, and we have very important guests. Colonel PRAVEEN Kumar Singh, commanding officer, is the president of the function. Mr. SYED RIZVI, founder chairman, United Sustainable Developments. Mr. Ajit Kumar, Commander Kushigram, Vision 2030. Respected Group Commander, ST.JOSEPH'S, and Captain Binoy Varakil, our AMU, master of the ceremony, and there was a very nice song by, I forgot the name, it was very nice. And then all the young cadets of DEVAGIRI College. It's a really happy occasion, and it's a very important day in the sense it's World Environmental Day on June 5th every year. It is being celebrated. Why? To remind people about the importance of nature. And the people coming from a biological background, they know the importance of ecosystem, habitat, and they very much. Others also started learning because the UN has made it compulsory. The government of India also has made it compulsory to have environmental science as a part of the curriculum. And why is that? That is because cast them young, because the concern or the importance of environmental conservation and all, it should start from the with the youngest days. There is not much point in teaching the old people, or the very seniors like me and all, another 10-15 years that's all. So that's why it's for no future, and that's why this concept of taking environmental science compulsory to students. And why and this environmental day? That is because it's across the world celebrate uniform people, that nature should not be taken for granted. And now the environmental world theme of 2021 is reimagine, recreate, and restore. Reimagine, recreate, restore. Laushul says very nicely, it says that. I'm very happy to say that important environment that thing is put forward there. And it is also the beginning of United Nations decade on ecosystem restoration. So that comes to the term, what is restoration? Restoration is restore it. But we cannot reverse everything, all the damages that have been done. But what we can do, we can grow trees, green our cities, rewild our gardens, and this is a core idea. So because within the city limit, and I understand most of the students in the DEVAGIRI College, we have to consider us. We are not a metro city, but we are all urban people, or we are coming semi-urban background. So what we can do in urban background is to grow some trees, and that is why there is so much of planting the trees are happening now. And why all these trees to be grown? It is not only planting a tree, that alone matters. You should see that that tree is there next year and next year, and it grows and flowers and it brings in fruits and flowers, and definitely that will attract lots of organisms, most important like honeybees, birds, because they are all very known to us, and also the predators like some snakes also will come. We can't stop it because these are part of the nature. They are all part of the nature, prey and predator. But for that, the tree should be there. Okay. Then one more thing is there. That's what people commonly forget. The tree, definitely, it will be shedding its leaves, leaf litter. And that litter, it will be falling onto the ground, provided your home is not having a tile roof for a front yard. Now that's what happened in urban areas. Everyone is having all tile roofed front yards. Then all the water, it will be simply wasted, and the leaves and all, the fallen leaves, it will not degrade. And why the fallen leaves are important? Because actually the fallen leaves will be habitat for a lot of organisms. The fallen leaf, dry leaf, in Malayalam is a kariyala, it falls in the ground, and there a lot of fungus starts growing. Then there will be fungus eating animals will come, and then the leaf eating, dried leaf eating animal like a millipede, and there are termites will come, and that will be, and this is of the ecosystem. And also below that, it mixed with the soil and becomes humus. And the humus is good for the soil. That is why soil moisture should be there. So that's why when you go to the forest area, if a tree is there, there will be tree canopy. Okay, but other than that, on the ground, there will be a soil which is dark in color and no nutrients are required there. It is all coming from the fallen leaves itself, carbon matter and all. And then there will be a lot of organisms like all these millipede and termite, and then the earthworms. And remember that cheryl or termite, though we consider a very big pest in our urban setup, it is a very important decomposer in the natural ecosystem. And there are a lot of organisms feeding on termites, lot of organisms. Snakes and lizards and birds and insects, and it's a food for them. And for that, all the leaves should fall to the ground, and it will not happen in urban environment. So what we can do, as much as possible, see that even if you're having a small mango tree in your front and all, let leaves fall to the ground and see that the tile roof is not there. So natural water, it can flow into the floor. So restoration, this is what we can do, a kind of restoration setup. Then before going to a lengthy, I want to ask you tell about a particular plant. The touch me not plant is there. What is touch me not plant? In Malayalam, we call it as the Totawadi. How many of you have seen a Totawadi or touch me not? It was so common in our region. It has spines and all, you cannot touch it, but it was having a lot of soil holding capacity, because during the dry season, it leaves will grow. And then in the summer rains, there will be tender leaves, and the tender leaves are likened by most of our herbivorous animals like goat, sheep, goat mostly, and cow also. And then its root has leguminous kind of root, and then what happened? Bacteria are there, so nitrogen holding capacity, and most importantly, all these so-called beads, kala, that's what we say in Malayalam, it holds the ground together. So a simple plant like touch me not or the Totawadi, it has so much of ecological function, and also its flower. That flower is there. It attracts insects, birds, honeybees. Now where is it? So that's why I say in an urban setup there are limitations. We cannot expect all that to be here. But even in the semi-urban areas also, these sort of plants are not at all there. We removed it because it can bring anybody. Development leads to demand for food and all. So that is the next question. Yeah. So what we can do locally in our setup, change our diet and start growing vegetables at home. That's what I say. Change our diet. Why changing our diet? Simple. Demand for meat. With affluence, demand for meat comes up, no doubt about it. It could be any sort of meat, whether it is chicken, beef, buffalo, mutton, but all these animals, they feed upon the plants. They feed upon plants. Okay. So it will be leading to a lot of grazing. We call as overgrazing. Whatever might be the kind of vegetation, it's okay. So what our change in our diet can lead to environment, how it can, the kind of environmental degradation, how our eating habits, or more exactly the beef demand, you just check with the website because it is a link. It is a very interesting topic. The beef eating habit or the non-vegetarian habit of industrialized countries, how it damages the Amazonian forests. Same thing we also have. Huge demand for all these buffalo, meat and sheep, mutton, everything. And they need plants. Okay. So what we don't have any other options, but we have options. Okay. Then other than that, and at college level, what we have to do, we have 2 courses. You might be knowing that 2 courses at DEVAGIRI. One is, in the beginning I said, we have to change our diet and start growing vegetables at home. We don't need a huge half an acre land or anything to create, make this grow a few vegetables at home. It can be done with terrace gardening. Terrace gardening. And for the terrace gardening, the best hybrid plants. hybrid, high productive plants are there. It can be grown in small pots at your home, in your terrace itself. And we have a special course, namely the Terrace Gardening course. And it teaches us all those things. That is why this intention only, the students of this college, they should take it as a garden. And they should know from what kind of nurseries where all these plants can be grown at home. And it can be, it's a dual advantage. One is a hobby, and also it becomes useful. Almost all the vegetables can be grown there. And that's how the soil does it. Okay. Then another thing is, we have another course is about the fish farming. Fish farm, a small farm, fish farm at home, because as I said, diet now we all like fish, demand for fish is going up. And in the sea is also under, habitat sea is also under pressure. So what we can do at home also now make a small pond, a fish pond, and we can grow certain fishes. And also along the boundaries of, if we having 1 or 2 cents of land, along the boundaries of this fish pond, many plants can be grown, many plants. And that is what they teach us, hydroponics and the water also. And many of these plants then become food for the fish also. So you see, this is what we call a sustainability. And as I said, it becomes hobby, and we reimagine, recreate, restoration, growing plants. So people will be wondering, especially younger states like see, we are all students, and what we go to do other than celebrating Environment Day. Celebrating Environment Day alone will no end. And this kind of actions, what I said, it will help in the long run. That's all we can do practically. Okay, so with these few words of about the Environmental Day, and first once again, I congratulate the NCC unit for arranging this particular program on the Environmental Day. And we have some very important guests. They are all sparing their time to sharing their time. Sharing their time is being with us from 10 o'clock onwards to 1 hour with their precious time. And as a student, you all should appreciate it. And our hearty thanks to all of you. Thank you. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you for your valuable words, sir. Now, I would like to invite a person who has been a guiding light to all the cadets. He always supports and encourages cadets to put their best. It's none other than the commanding officer of 30 Kerala Battalion, Colonel PRAVEEN Kumar Singh. I welcome you, sir, for the presidential address.
Thanks, Meghna. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm not an expert on this subject, but I got my 2 best friends to share this platform. RIZVI is my childhood friend. In fact, I don't even remember since when we've been friends. I think we were about 7 or 8 years old. And sustainable development connected to environment is his prime profession. He left his job, Ajit, who shares multiple platforms. In fact, both of partly joining some other webinar. I'll request both of them to speak. And Meghna and Varakil, thank you for bringing us together. And Meghna, you are a sweetheart. You're my backbone. Chalo, hand over to RIZVI.
Thank you, sir. Now let's get into the most awaited session of the day. We have 2 great resource persons with us today, Mr. RIZVI and Mr. Ajit Kumar. Let's start the session with the first chief guest of the day, Mr. RIZVI. He is the founder, chairman and managing director of United Sustainable Development Private Limited, Bangalore. Presently, he is the chairman of FAISAL Realty Expo Committee. Mr. RIZVI also shares a connection with defense. He had earlier undergone military training at the prestigious National Defense Academy, Kharagpur, Pune. Even ranked 4th position in the UPSC conducted examination of defense service. Philanthropy being close to his heart, Mr. RIZVI has contributed by way of resources, time, and efforts to various action groups and charities and trusts. On behalf of the NCC unit of DEVAGIRI College, I wholeheartedly invite Mr. RIZVI for the keynote address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Under Officer Meghna. Dr. SABU, Colonel PRAVEEN Kumar Singh, Captain Binoy, and all dear friends, my friend Ajit. It's a pleasure to be with you all on this Saturday morning on World Environment Day. At the outset, I must tell you that we have not inherited planet Earth from our forefathers. I believe in that. We have not inherited this planet Earth from our forefathers, but we have borrowed it from our children. We have borrowed it from our children. So as parents, we need to leave this planet Earth in a better condition than what we found it, how we found it. And for that, today the need of the hour is sustainable development. Sustainable development can best be defined as meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Today, we have to manage our environment more efficiently than what has happened in the past. Today is the age of internet. To all the young cadets, I must tell you, research on how to make our planet Earth a better place to live for your own future. We have done what we have, but it's never too late to learn. As that reimagine, recreate, restore. And this is a very good topic. Reimagine, recreate, restore. We have to reimagine our Earth, how it should be. We have to recreate and the Earth to the best of what we can do and restore the balance. We have to restore the balance. In sustainable development, we have 5 key issues, matters. We can manage the sustainable development with wind energy, solar energy, crop rotation. Sorry, I got a call in between. Crop rotation, water efficient fixtures in our bathrooms, green spaces, creation of green spaces. I've been a real estate developer for some time now after my stint in the armed forces. And I learned a lot about using much less and producing much more. For the resource. We have to use less and produce more. This is very important. This is a halo, this is a credo of our armed forces to do much more with much less. Coming back to this, small things, wind energy. Use of windmills. This is very, very important. Today, windmills take very little footprints and you can generate electricity through that. Instead of coal power, which is not a very sustainable thing, oil power, fossil fuels, it's better to have use nature, solar power. Wind power and solar power are going to be the future of our world. We are getting electric cars. We are getting more and more things with electricity without using fossil fuels to generate that electricity. Solar energy used to be very expensive earlier. Nowadays, it is not expensive. I'll give you an example in our office. In our office, we use 10 tons of air conditioning. We have 10 to 11 tons of air conditioning. Our electricity bill used to come 20,000 to 30,000 rupees a month. The moment we put solar net metering, where we use the solar solar panels and sustainable energy, our electricity bill dropped to 5,000 rupees. And during COVID times, since our office is closed and we are working from home, our office is actually generating and feeding it to the grid. So we have become electricity producers in our office. So, and in water, what we have done is in our office, not a single drop of water is wasted. We do rainwater harvesting, and we don't have a piped water in our office. The entire we have a 2-acre green campus, and whatever water rainfall comes, we store it, and we use that water for our entire office needs. We don't have any water connection. Actually, our electricity connection also is just the input and output model, where we take little bit electricity, but we produce more electricity than what we use. Coming back to crop rotation. Crop rotation is a very specialist topic. I'm not very proficient with it, so I'll just tell you what Sabu sir was saying, the principal was saying about various things, about fish ponding, hydroponics, terrace farming. These are very, very good things in Bangalore. I'm in Bangalore now, and a lot of people are doing terrace farming and producing their own vegetables for eating. And for the water efficient fixtures, there is a slow flow tap where we don't need to spend more water for our daily needs. Today, water is a very, very precious commodity. Without water, we can't survive. So we have to save water in all our daily course. When you are brushing, for example, I'm talking to the young cadets, you just switch off the tap, you brush it and use less water. And like my example, I've done this calculation. When I use the shower versus the taking bath by a bucket, shower uses less if it's a slow flow. And it's quite good. You can save a lot of water. And lastly, about green spaces. Today, 3.3% of the deaths in the world is happening because of physical inactivity. And that is because we don't have spaces. In urban developments, we don't have spaces. So in all our projects, we leave 45% open spaces for roads, parks, green spaces. So, and playgrounds and something for the children to run around, play. When we were young, urban development was not that much, so we had lots of places to play. But today, the pressure of population on urban setting is so much that every space is being utilized for development. And that puts the pressure on this. Urban planners have recognized this, and the building licenses and building plans now have a code of what is the usage of construction for the projects, so that you leave spaces for the children. And I'd like to keep it my speech limited because I was recently hospitalized with COVID and I am on oxygen. So I would like to conclude that I'm thankful to Colonel Praveen Kumar, my friend, Captain Binoy, for inviting me to be part of this webinar, and to see you guys and participate in this to guide you all for the future. And I must appreciate Under Officer Krishna M. Jayesh for the beautiful song she sang. Thank you very much for all of you. And good day and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, bhai, Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. That was a really informative session. We really appreciate you spending your valuable time with us and sharing your thoughts. As you rightly said, we haven't really inherited this plant from our ancestors, and we are doing too little and it's too late. It's high time that we start acting responsible. Now let's jump to the second session of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Now for the second session of the day, I invite the second chief guest of the day, Mr. Ajith Kumar. He is the founder of Kushigram and Vision 2030 for recreating, reviving happy cities, villages and communities. He has been doing social work and practical research on sustainable development since the early 90s. As a journalist, social worker, speaker, writer, actor, director, leader, and member of several local, national, and global groups across sector, he has been putting his bid for better, healthier, happier, harmonious, and beautiful world. So clearly has some great expertise in this field, and he could really give us some insight on this topic. I welcome Mr. Ajith Kumar for the keynote address. Thank you, sir. Ajit sir, can you hear me?
Okay, I'll give him a call.
Okay, sir.
While Ajit is coming online, and I must thank Under Officer Meghna Haridas for conducting this very professionally, and may you have a bright future. And I'm sure if you get your NCC certificate, you will join the armed forces. Yeah, all the best for you.
She will.
Thank you, sir.
Meghna will join armed forces.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
That is my guarantee.
Till Ajit is coming online, I'll say we had 3 people in our organization who were NCC CT certificate holders, and I guided them for the Services Selection Board, and all 3 of them are officers in the Indian Armed Forces now. Okay, I will, till Ajit comes, I will tell you one incident which happened in National Defense Academy. I used to be very fond of hunting during my young days. As a child also, I am a good shot, gun and a pistol. So I used to, being an adventurous guy, I used to love shooting. I used to go for some hunting trips, and I had some pictures taken of my hunts and shoots. And one, the then division officer, Captain M.M. Mangalmurthy Masood, who is now retired as a brigadier, he came to my cabin and saw those photographs. And I was immediately given some army-style front rolls. And after some front rolls, I was made to understand. He told me, why you shoot? I said, I love to shoot. He said, then replace the gun with a camera and start shooting with a camera. That way you will preserve those photographs for years and understand. And if you love shooting, you do target shooting. So I took it to heart, and from that day, that was in September 1990. Yeah, September 1990, stopped any kind of hunting and other things. Colonel Praveen, has Ajit joined?
He's about to join. Just let me check. I just called him. He's about to join.
Okay, fine. Great.
But
my timing, yeah.
RIZVI, in the interim, till the time Ajit joins, could you tell us something more about water harvesting? Practical, how we can do it at home.
Okay. I'll give you a live example. One of my projects had 200 apartments, and we had 7 bore wells dug because there was no water connection in that area from the Bangalore Water Supply Board. But those 7 bore wells were not enough. Every time I used to see water tankers lining up to 200 apartments, almost 1,000 people living there. So I came up with a suggestion. I came up with an idea. I dug half bore wells next to those bore wells in about under 10 feet. Under 10 feet from the bore well, I dug another bore well halfway. Suppose that bore well was 500 feet. I dug about 100 feet, 200 feet, something like that. And we did rainwater harvesting from the rooftop of all our apartments. And all the water connected was brought to that other half bore well which had no water. This recharged the aquifers from the ground, and believe me, in about 3 to 4 months, I could see the water tankers reducing till it came to 0. We had 0 water tank until today. That project is running very well without a water sewerage board connection, and it is generating entire water needs from that rainwater harvesting itself. And the borewells are recharged. That is one of the things. The other thing is that we have started not using blacktop roads inside our projects. we use pavers, sand bed pavers. Pavers suck up the entire rainwater, it goes directly into the ground. Blacktop road doesn't allow water to seep into the ground. We have to let the water seep into the ground instead of putting nalas and flowing it from one place to some other place. Water has to seep into the ground. Then only the groundwater will be recharged. This is on water conservation. And
Rizvi, sorry to interrupt. You're talking about interlocking tiles, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
That is very good. Interlocking pavers and tiles. It is called tiles also, but the correct terminology is interlocking pavers, which are porous, semi-porous, which suck in the water from the from the surface, and it seeps into the ground. It's very important. Water going inside the ground is very important. In our 2-acre green campus, where my house, the farmhouse now, and our office is there, we didn't have any water. After all the borewells had failed. But after we did rainwater harvesting, and one more thing, we planted lots of trees. It's a very green space. We planted lots of trees, and then we were able to raise the water limit, groundwater table, and it's quite good. Another example I'll give you. Since my oxygen limit SpO2 had come down to 77 during COVID time when I was hospitalized, after coming back, I went back to my farm and spent some time there, and my oxygen level has come back to 92. Only during night time I take sometimes oxygen through the concentrator, but otherwise it is okay, not an issue.
And could you tell us something, Rizvi, could you tell us something about solar energy at house level?
Okay, a normal house, a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom house, uses 3 to 5 kilowatt power. Now, today, I'm told that when we put up a 10 kilowatt power, when we put up a 10 kilowatt power plant, it costed us 10 lakh rupees. Now, the same 10 kilowatt power, solar power will cost less than 6 lakh rupees. But for an individual house, for a 3 kilowatt or 5 kilowatt, it will come to 2 to 3 lakh rupees, and the government gives a subsidy. So I seriously request you all that we should come to this solar power, convert our houses to solar power. You can check up with Tata Power and other people, other companies in your town. Ask them to come and do a need assessment and suggest ways to convert your house to solar power. It will really be, first of all, it will be very friendly to the pocket. Your monthly outgo on solar will or electricity bill will come down. Besides, it's very good. It's very good for the environment. Whether you use the solar energy, God has given free solar power through the sun, and we can use that. Colonel Praveen, I would love if any of the cadets would like to ask me any questions. I'll try my best to answer.
So I wanted to ask you a question.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So 3 years back, we started the water conversation method, rainwater conversation method in my home, and we had an underground plan near the well. But usually in the first year, it led to the contamination of the water in the well because of that underground plan. So
you have to use filter. There has to be a filter to the rainwater which is going inside the ground. Filtration is very important. That is why. And in homes, one must use one of the AquaGuard filters or whatever it is. The best thing is to boil the water for drinking purposes. Boil the water and cool it down and drink it. And for other to avoid rainwater water contamination, you have to use a good filter and change it whenever you on a cycle. Whenever as per the recommendation of the manufacturer, you can change it the filters.
okay, sir. If any of the cadets have any questions to ask, you may put forward.
Since I'm I'm an alumni of National Defense Academy, anybody would like to ask about that, please ask. Feel free to ask.
So what was the inspiration for the sudden diversion from the defense sector to this sector? So were there a particular incident for that?
Yes, it's a good question. Good question. I had an accident under training at National Defense Academy in my third term, and my right hand was totally broken in many places. The fingers had bones had fractured, and I was unable to carry it. So I was medically boarded out of National Defense Academy, but I really wanted to wear the uniform. So actually, I joined St.JOSEPH'S College, Bangalore. So in a way, I am also a Josephite like you all. And Bangalore St. Joseph's College, I completed my graduation. In the meantime, I got my hand fixed up by a very renowned surgeon from Bombay. And after my graduation, I wrote the Combined Defense Services exam. And then I chose Officers Training Academy, Chennai, because I wanted to compress the timing of my training from 1.5 years at Indian Military Academy to 9 months at OTA. So I joined Officers Training Academy, even under protest from my doctor. My doctor told me, don't put yourself again in the military training because it might recur. I said, yeah, but wearing a uniform was my passion. So I again joined Officers Training Academy in May 1994, 59 SSC. I'm 84 course of NDA, 94 course regular to IMA, and 59 SSC OTA. So I joined there and I did very well. After some time, my doctor's prediction came through and I was injured in training again in the same place, same hand. And this time my parents forced me to come out of the armed forces. And after coming out, I joined a construction company and I worked with them for about 2 years. In the meantime, I did my management courses from St. Joseph's College of Business Administration as well as from IIM Bangalore. And then in 1996, I started my own company in a very small way, building one single house. And over a period of these many, I have built 30 lakh foot. And now I'm semi-retired and just work for my passion, and I spend more time with children. I have I'm involved with a lot of orphan children in education as well as training. So these are the things which I like to do. And that's how I came from my armed forces. I couldn't do that. So I'm serving in a different way.
Thank you for sharing that with us. That's really inspiring.
Welcome.
Sorry.
Always, my message to all the young students, get down by any tough situation, because in the armed forces we say when going gets tough, the tough get going, and this too shall pass. So if you're going through any tough time, it is there make you strong. Learn from that engagement, from the time that and become stronger. Mind over, it's what we should. We in NDA used to be in the cross country runs. When the body is tired, the mind makes you go on. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think Aditya has joined, sir. Can you hear me?
Okay, Colonel Praveen, you can check up with Ajit when he can come. It was nice meeting all of you here and talking to you all of sharing my experience. I have to go into another seminar of my trade body CRIDI. I'm a governing body member there, which is starting in next 5 minutes. So thank you very much to all of you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir. I think Ajit sir is having some connectivity issue. sir, can we continue with the carrots activity till then?
Hello, sir. Sir, can we have the KDEX programs right now? Sir, would you please join in?
Ajit sir, can you hear me?
Would you please join in the? Okay, sir. Please, would you please give the direction, sir? Would you please give the direction? Okay, sir. Okay, sir. All right. All right.
Ajit sir is having some network issue, so till then let's continue with the other part of the session. Now we are having some activities from the carrot side. So sir, can we continue with the activities of the carrot side?
Yes, Meghna, continue.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. So now I invite Cadet Archana PC for a speech.
Respected dignitaries on the dais and my dear cadets, a warm good morning to one and all. I'm Cadet Archana PC. I'm glad to be here in front of you. We celebrate World Environmental Day on June 5, 2021. But this is not just a celebration, it's also a reminder and recognition. Human thinks that nature is his and that he can subdue for his own needs. But human belongs to nature, we are indebted to nature. Ecosystem restoration, the theme of this year. This is focusing on resetting our relationship with nature. Ecosystem is a chain of interaction between organisms and their environment. There are two types of ecosystem, terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. We have to know the importance of ecosystem. It promotes various food chains and food webs. It controls essential ecological processes and promotes life. Over 90% of our food comes from terrestrial ecosystem, which also provide energy, building materials, clothes, medicines, fresh and clean water, and clean air. Now, our ecosystem faces so many problems. Ozone depletion, greenhouse effect, global warming, loss of biodiversity, and climate changes. The role of human being in this formation is huge. Pollution is one of the main cause of ecosystem destruction. Deforestation, resource exploitation are another reasons. So, here comes the importance of ecosystem restoration. Restoration means assisting in the recovery of ecosystem that have been degraded or destroyed. Human can help in this process and that's our duty. Lost plants and animals can be reintroduced and protected until they are established. The ecosystem restoration helps to control erosion, improve water quality and repair habitat. Through such projects, young people learn how they are connected to their environment. Let me repeat, human needs today is not compassion but obligation to nature. Thank you.
Ajit, Meghna,
Yes, sir.
let Ajit speak. Ajit, please join. Ajit. Ajit. He left. He's got some connectivity problem.
Yes, sir. Should we wait?
So anyway, next. What are your plans?
Okay.
Ajit is here. Ajit. Meghna, you talk to him. Maybe he cannot hear me. Ajit.
Ajit sir, can you hear me? Ajit sir, if you have any right internet connection, you may proceed with the session, sir.
So, Megha, continue. I'll add Ajit later.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Archana. Now we are having a PPT presentation by Cadet Engineer Abraham and Cadet Ashwini A. I invite those cadets for the scene.
Very good morning to the Excellencies, respected Principal Sir, Honorable Officers, and dear cadets. In connection with the World Environment Day, June 5th, I am Cadet Ashwini A, presenting about ecosystem restoration. A biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment is called ecosystem. Currently, 3.2 billion people, that is 40% of world's population, suffer from the continued degradation of ecosystems, for example, by losing access to fertile soil or safe drinking water. World Environment Day is observed on 5th June every year globally. The day aims to promote awareness about protecting the environment and developing possible solutions or alternatives. It calls for the contribution from individuals, voluntary organizations, celebrities, and communities to participate in activities that are potentially advantageous to the environment, and with digital resources and social media, it is easy to reach out to a large population and spread awareness. UN General Assembly started the first World Environment Day celebrations in 1972. Later, 1974, celebrations took center stage with the theme titled Only One Earth. In 1987, idea of assigning a different host nation every year came into action. Now let's go through the ecosystem restoration. Ecosystem restoration. The theme for the World Environment Day 2021 is ecosystem restoration. According to UN, Pakistan will be the host country for World Environment Day 2021. Ecosystem restoration can happen by actively planting trees, removing pressures on the ecosystems, and reducing the levels of pollution. A successful celebration happens only when effective campaigns are launched worldwide to publicize these issues and resolutions drawn to create changes. Planting trees, encouraging waste segregation to conserve the environment goes a long way in creating a greener future. Now let's move on to the definition of ecosystem restoration. The definition of ecosystem restoration given by Society for Ecological Restoration. That is, the process of assisting the recovery of an ecosystem that has been degraded, damaged, or destroyed. It is an intentional activity that initiates or accelerates an ecological pathway or trajectory through time towards a reference state. Now let's move on to the history. Restoration ecology emerged as a separate field in the late 20th century. The term was coined by John Aber and William Jordan. However, lay people have been practicing ecological restoration or management for thousands of years. Restoration helps in revising losses of ecosystem like climate change, invasive species, degradation, etc. Checks decline in biodiversity and also improve human conditions. The succession process by which biological community compositions, the number and proportion of different species in an ecosystem, recover over time following disturbance event. The practice of ecological restoration includes wide scope of projects including erosion control, reforestation, removal of non-native species and weeds, revegetation of disturbed areas, daylighting schemes, reintroduction of native species as well as habitat, and range improvement of targeted species. Now let's move to the different types of restoration. There are two types of restoration, passive restoration and active restoration. Passive restoration simply allowing natural succession to occur after removing a source of disturbance. Active restoration involves acceleration the process or attempting to change the trajectory of succession. Now let's take a look at some plans and various modes by which we can free the ecosystem from mortifying situation. Inventory and map, describe the site's history, develop a hypothesis, develop goals, develop implementation plan, design a monitoring program, implement the restoration program, prepare reports and papers, periodically evaluate the program, communicate with and educate. Next, how to improve the ecology. We can improve the ecology of disturbed area by reclamation, rehabilitation, restoration and reconstruction. Reclamation. It stabilizes land and restores sufficient soil to revegetate the land without attempting to restore the condition before mining. Rehabilitation. If the ecosystem is significantly improved but remains quite distinct from the pre-degradation condition, the effect is called rehabilitation. This is frequently the objective in areas that have been strip mined. For example, oil sand in Alberta. Restoration. Re-establishment of functions and characteristic species, communities and structure. Reconstruction. Starting retraction from scratch. Now we are going to look at some alternative measures, tools, techniques and different methods for ecosystem restoration. Microbes for soil fertility, Azobacter and francris, nitrogen fixing bacteria for nodulation in legumes, symbiotic association of legume in rhizobia, use of mycorrhiza in reforestation. In order to meet the sustainable development goals, ecosystem degradation must be stopped and restoration undertaken on a massive scale. Ecosystem restoration will also help us build back better from COVID-19, preventing future pandemic and creating millions of jobs. Restoration is a separate field in the ecology. It provides an opportunity to recreate our natural existence. It is a scientific study supporting the practices of ecological restoration, which is the practice of renewing and restoring degraded, damaged or destroyed an ecosystem and habitats in the environment by active human intervention and action. We can make ecosystem healthy through restoration. Everyone, let's take a look at our dying surrounding. Feel her expiring breath. The mankind is already late and off the track. It's time the moral stories about importance of nature be spoon-fed again to the sapiens. Let green rise again in the air. All hail green, go green. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. It was really informative. Aditya, can you hear me?
I think Ajit is online.
Yes, sir. Aditya, can you hear me?
Meghna,
Yes, sir.
you continue, and the moment Ajit joins, give him the time.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. So now we are having a video presentation by DEVAGIRI. I invite Cadet DEVAGIRI for the same.
Ajit has joined. Ajit has joined. No, he left again. Okay. Meghna, continue.
Sure, sir. Cadet DEVAGIRI, you may continue with your video presentation.
almost everywhere, but concentrating in huge swaths in the midst of global currents, breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces, ingested by species across the marine world, and sinking to the bottom of the sea.
Anyone can make plastic anywhere in the world and sell it anywhere else in the world. There's no design paradigm, there's no barriers. In order to solve the plastic packaging problem, we need to effectively rethink the entire system. From one which is linear, i.e. take, make, dispose, to one where it can be recovered and fed back into the economy as a valuable plastic material, or one where it's biobenign and it can enter the environment. The ultimate goal of the new plastics economy is to design an economy where plastic packaging never becomes waste. And to do that, we need every single player in the chain.
Meghna,
Yes, sir.
pause this presentation. Ajit has joined.
Sure, sir. Roshit, could you stop the presentation? Abin, could you stop the presentation? Abin, you may stop the presentation.
Hello, Ajit. Arey yaar, what's happening? So, Meghna, continue.
Sure, sir. Abin, you can continue with the presentation.
Abin, continue. Ajit, have you joined?
He left. Ajit, sir, can you hear me?
Chalo, koi nahi. Meghna, let
Okay, then. Yes, sir. Abin, could you continue the presentation or should we go to the next program?
Yes, Meghna, give me a minute.
Sure, Abin.
Dispersed almost everywhere, but concentrating in huge swaths in the midst of global currents, breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces, infested by species across the marine world, and sinking to the bottom of the sea.
Anyone can make plastic anywhere in the world and sell it anywhere else in the world. There's no design paradigm, there's no barriers. In order to solve the plastic packaging problem, we need to effectively rethink the entire system. From one which is linear, i.e. take, make, dispose, to one where it can be recovered and fed back into the economy as a valuable plastic material, or one where it's bio-benign and it can enter the environment. The ultimate goal of the new plastics economy is to design an economy where plastic packaging never becomes waste. And to do that, we need every single player in the chain.
Thank you, Carrots. Now I invite Under Officer Krishna and Jayesh to recite the poem.
Good morning, everyone present here. Distinguished dignitaries and all my dear friends. I feel exceedingly proud and privileged to have got an opportunity to recite a poem. The title of the poem is Nalekku Vendi. It has been penned by Indian poet and activist Sugudumari Amma. Hope you will enjoy it. Nalekku Vendi, Sugudumari Amma. ഒരു തൈ നടാം നമുക്കമ്മയ്ക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം കൊച്ചുമക്കൾക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം 100 കിളികൾക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം നല്ല നാളേക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം നമുക്കമ്മയ്ക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം കൊച്ചുമക്കൾക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം 100 കിളികൾക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം നല്ല നാളേക്കു വേണ്ടി. ഇതു പ്രാണവായുവിനായി നടുന്നു, ഇതു മഴയ്ക്കായി തൊഴുതു നടുന്നു, അഴകിനായി തണലിനായി തേപ്പഴങ്ങൾക്കായി 100 തൈകൾ നിറഞ്ഞു നടുന്നു, അഴകിനായി തണലിനായി തേൻപഴങ്ങൾക്കായി 100 തൈകൾ നിറഞ്ഞു നടുന്നു. ഒരു തൈ നടാം നമുക്കമ്മയ്ക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം കൊച്ചുമക്കൾക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം 100 കിളികൾക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം നല്ല നാളേക്കു വേണ്ടി. ചൊരിയുന്നപ്പാലിനോർമ്മയുമായി പകരം തരാൻ കൂപ്പു കൈ മാത്രമായി, ഇതു ഭൂമി നിറകണ്ണുമായി ഞങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുന്ന പൂജ, ഇതു ദേവി ഭൂമിതൻ ചൂടൽപ്പമാറ്റാൻ നിറകണ്ണുമായി ഞങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുന്ന പൂജ. ഒരു തൈ നടാം നമുക്കമ്മയ്ക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം കൊച്ചുമക്കൾക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം 100 കിളികൾക്കു വേണ്ടി, ഒരു തൈ നടാം നല്ല നാളേക്കു വേണ്ടി. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. It is such a touching poem. It was great pleasure to listen to your voice. Now we have the translated version of the same poem recited by Sergeant Akshaya. I invite Sergeant Akshaya for the same.
Good morning, everyone. This is a translation given by Captain Binoy, of NCC Army, St.JOSEPH'S College, Varakil. So tomorrow, Let's plant a sapling for the mother. Let's sow a seedling, the grand. Let's scatter stubble for 100 pearls. Let's plank a ravel for better mood. This is peace life prayer. This is sacred piety for the rain, for the shade and sweet weapons. 100 herbs sowed to the tank. With more pouring rest and fully pounds in return. This is the soothing on the goddess of Buddha, the yoga of life.
Thank you, Akshay. Let me confirm once again, Ajit sir, can you hear me? Yes, sir, now we're coming to the end of the session. It's like only vote of thanks is remaining. So should we wait for Ajit?
Okay. No need to wait. Continue.
Okay, sir. The only way forward, if we are going to improve the quality of environment, is to get everybody involved. So let us start acting responsible and unitedly work towards creating a world that is much more beautiful and healthier than what we lived in for the future generation. I invite Senior Under Officer Vishal P. for the vote of thanks.
And this morning to everyone present in the virtual meet. It must be proposed a vote of thanks to all the individuals who have been wholeheartedly participated to make this webinar a grand success. First of all, I thank all government for making this webinar a success. The command of Vertical Colonel President who have been spending his valuable time with us. Next, I thank SABU K. Thomas, Principal of St. Joseph's College, DEVAGIRI, for his presence and for being supportive. Now I extend a vote of thanks to Captain Binoy, Varakil, AN of St. Joseph's College, DEVAGIRI, Army Unit. Without support and participation, the program could not have been happened. Thank you, sir, for being your support. Now I express my gratitude to Mr. SABU FAISAL RIZVI, Founder, Chairman, and Managing Director Private Limited. Thank you for joining us, avoiding all our difficulties and enriching your valuable knowledge regarding renewable energy. The opportunity to extend vote of thanks to Mr. Ajith Kumar, founder of KOZHIKODE and Vision 2030. Now I thank management and staff of St. Joseph's College, DEVAGIRI, Calicut, being supportive in all activities of NCC. Now I am grateful to thank all the officers, ANOs, and PI staffs for being with us throughout the program. Last but not the least, I thank the students of Joseph College, DEVAGIRI, and other colleges for being attentive to once again, all for being a part of the webinar for making it a grand success. Jai Hind.
Ajit, are you there? Ajit, are you there? Ajit, are you there? Ajit, are you there? Okay, Meghna, close it.
Okay, sir. Let's get inspired by all the works and speeches of all dignitaries with us today, and let's work gently and gracefully over this planet. Let's end the program National Anthem. I invite Cadet Abhishek for National Anthem.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब
सिंध गुजरात मराठा
उत्कल बंगा गंगा तव शुभ नाम
जागे
तव शुभ आशीष मांगे तव जय साथा जन गण भागीरथी दादा जय हे
जय 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 जय